Okay, looks like we're getting started. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Ballard Institute. If you're just sitting down for our Facebook Live event, Wednesday, 2 p.m., just take your time. We're going to take our time today. It's good to see you. It's good to see you here today. But I think we're ready. I think we're ready to get started. I think everything's hooked up, and I think we're ready to start. So, my name is Felicia Cooper. I am the graduate assistant at the Ballard Institute Museum of Puppetry. I'm also a third-year grad student at the UConn Puppet Arts program, which is pretty exciting, and I'm pretty glad to be there. I'm glad that you're here. It's 2 p.m. every Wednesday and every Friday. We're here doing live puppet workshops. They're pretty exciting, but there have been some tech issues. We're all learning. We're all adjusting to new styles of that learning. So if the stream goes down, if everything goes off the rails, as it did twice last week, just stay tuned and I'll try to start a new stream, okay? All right. Great. So today we are going to be working on puppets for demonstrations. Now, puppets have an enormous history in protests and in political activity and in radical messaging. But before we get into that, we're just going to take a time to just get our wiggle on a little bit. Make sure you're wiggling your knees and your hips. You can only see me from the waist up, but trust me, I'm wiggling. Little shake, 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 little shake, shake, shake. Okay, maybe roll your shoulders back. In a good art-making space, okay? You want your voice to be clear, you want your focus to be direct. So we're gonna do 3 deep breaths. Ready? In through your nose, out through your mouth. Ready? In. In. Out. Last one, in. Oh, shake, 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 shake. Oh, I'm ready to make some good art. Are you ready to make some good art? So, like I said, we're here at the Ballard Institute. This one is also sponsored by the Connecticut, or supported by the Connecticut Office of the Arts, which is pretty exciting. Thanks, Connecticut Office of the Arts. So for this one, we're going to be making protest or demonstration puppets. And the end result is going to look a little bit like this kind of fist here. I'm going to make it, this was a test version. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger for our version today. We're also going to talk about how you might suspend banners and fabric. Now, like I said, there are so many different versions of how to do this and so many different resources that I'm just going to show you a little bit today. So what you'll need today is some good, healthy cardboard, okay? Some good, healthy cardboard. And if you're confused about working with cardboard, maybe go back and watch my cardboard party video, because we had a lot of fun in that one as well. You'll need some sort of a blade. You can use scissors, or you can use, highly recommended is a mat knife. You can use tape. You can use tape. We're going to use hot glue today. You can use newspaper. We're going to skip the newspaper today in the interest of time. Hopefully you have a nice big long stick or a broom handle, something like that. And then later we'll get into maybe using fabric and if you have a wire hanger. But of course, the most important thing that you must have for this particular workshop is a good idea, right? Because we're not just making puppets here to tell a story. We're making puppets in order to share a message that we care about. Like I said, there's a huge history of protest puppetry that we'll get into a little bit later. Well, let's just get started already, okay? Okay, so I've got this cardboard, and I was gonna cut it ahead of time, but I wanted to show you something first. See how in here we have a pretty, like we have a seam here where the cardboard doubles up? That's a great place to cut the cardboard so that the seam where it's doubled up is gonna be at the end of your cardboard, so you don't have to deal with it in the middle. It's not such a big deal, but if you're doing it with intention, you might as well. Okay, so remember, always close the blade before you put it down. So I'm looking at my blade. Love that noise. And I'm just gonna cut away from me, right down the seam of the box. And now, I've got some really good cardboard to work with. I don't need these tabs. Maybe I'll use them for something else later. But what I'm gonna make is just a nice big hand. You'll notice in this hand that I made out of the bottom of a frozen pizza, that all of the fingers are pointing into one center point. Now that's not really how my hand looks, right? But for these purposes, it's going to be really helpful so that we get this nice fold all towards a center point so that it's recognizable as a fist. And we'll talk about why we're making a fist a little bit later. You can make the hand as big as you like. I'm going to angle this down a little bit. If you're using hot glue, always have something under your hot glue so it doesn't get on your mat or on your table. Ooh, also try not to drop it. That could be dangerous. Okay, got my cue cards and other stuff. Okay. Dirty floor. Now I'm just gonna draw a nice big hand. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna deal with these folds. This one. Something that I've noticed is you want it to be the right hand. Right. Okay. So we'll do the thumb on this side. Okay. First finger, second finger, third finger, pinky finger. And I do want a little bit of wrist, so actually I'm going to cut this in a little bit. And you know, if you're making stuff out of cardboard, it's best to just cut it a little bigger than you need it. I'm going to change this angle a little bit. Okay, how are you doing? How is everybody? Check the stream, make sure it's going to work. All right, awesome. I'm glad the connection is working out. Bless us, everyone. I hope it continues. All right, I'm going to cut out that big hand that I just made. Like I said, give yourself a little room for the wrist. Okay. And it's kind of up to you how pointy or how flat you want the fingers to be. It's really stylistic. I'm kind of looking at the iconography of the stencil that you see a lot in connection with this fist. And so I'm kind of doing some pretty square fingers. Whereas if I were making a more realistic puppet, I might do more rounded fingers, but we'll say square for now, especially just because that's easier for folks who are maybe first learning to use this mat knife. Always be careful when you're using a mat knife. Cut away from yourself if you can. Okay. Close the mat knife. I think if I could have like a ringtone of that sound, that would be great. Or be like, what are you doing? Close your mat knife all the time. All right, so now I've got a nice hand. It feels pretty good. I like that there's not too much drawing and writing on the back. It doesn't say like Amazon or anything that I don't want to be part of this message. Now, if you look at your hand, and this one happens to have actually some creases almost exactly where we want them, you'll note how your hand bends, right, when you make a fist. And so you'll want to follow those bends and those knuckles to try to score the cardboard where you want it to bend. And like I said, if you want to learn about scoring cardboard, you can go back to my cardboard party video. But what I do is I just kind of cut about halfway through the cardboard, not all the way through, so that I get a nice fold. Okay. Oh, we're moving at quite a clip here. So that means that I can take some time to talk about the iconography of the Power Fist. The Power Fist has an incredible history, like incredible history. Throughout history, this has been used as a symbol of solidarity with oppressed people of all kinds. It was closely associated with socialist movements, but you know, who's to say who really was the first people to use it? And it was strongly adopted by the Black liberation and the Black Power movement in the 1960s. But the first note of it in print was in 1914 in the Mother Earth magazine. So this symbol, over 100 years old. And like I said, who knows who was using it before that? That's just the first one in print. The first image of it in print, that was just like talking about it being used. First image of it in print was with the International Workers of the World image in 1917. So that's a socialist workers party, workers union that you can still join today if you wanted, depending on how you feel about that. The first instance that we know of it being documented being used in the United States was at a May Day parade in 1936. So like I said, closely associated with workers' movements, but it's all about solidarity with oppressed people. Probably the most iconic image associated with it, I don't want to say the most iconic, a very iconic image associated with it was from the 1968 Summer Olympics. Tommy Smith and John Carlos were runners, athletes who used the Black Power fist, used it as a Black Power fist in order to elevate themselves when they won these incredible races. I'm sure you've seen the image. It's people on an Olympic podium and they have their fists up in a black glove, and also they're not wearing shoes in solidarity with homeless folks. And I think they're wearing necklaces in solidarity with peace movements. So it's really symbolic, right? So we can see that these symbols have a really long history of being used in order to amplify these voices. Tommy Smith, by the way, in addition to using the platform that he had to promote Black Power and to promote what he needed to say, also ran the 200-meter dash in under 20 seconds for the first time. Like, no one else had done that before. So like, pretty amazing stuff, Tommy Smith. What a role model. All right, now that we've got that knowledge, got that information, we've got our hands. Like I said, the creases already existed. I might clean them up a little bit, but that was just kind of lucky. But you would want to make more knuckles in the way that I did here. I did some right where it comes off of the top of the hand, right? So we've got like that. And then the second set of knuckles as well. You don't need the third set, that little kind of pokey part at the very tip of your finger. We just don't need it right now. But then I'm just gonna put this fist together and I'll glue it. I'll glue the old one first and then we'll glue the big one. And the history of protest puppetry in America is really something special. It's really hard to say where it started because it's so ubiquitous, so people often just don't really keep records of protest puppets. But I know that I've seen stuff as early as the 1930s in anti-fascist, anti-Nazi rallies in Philadelphia. Let's see if we've got any comments, just to make sure. All right, I'm so glad that this is still working. Fantastic news, love to see it. All right, still working? Yes, okay, thumbs up, still working. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is fold the thumb over. And if you want, you can take some paint and maybe like make it a little bit more clear. You might wanna add some fingernails or some shading on the knuckles, right? Maybe she has a fabulous manicure, I don't know. Or he has a fabulous manicure, or they have a fabulous manicure. Anyway, but now you have a pretty recognizable fist. And what I would do, I said I might use the tabs of that cardboard later, is that I would create a sleeve for it to be able to go into a fold. But first I'm gonna glue the other one. Okie dokie. So what do we think of this? I'm not really happy with the way, like I said, it was lucky, but I'm not really super happy with the way the angle turned out, so I'm gonna score it again. What you could do, of course, if you were really smart and clever, is you could pre-cut that, you could plan it with the folds of the box so that you don't have to cut it. And it would be like super strong that way, I think. Okay, I'm a little happier with that. That looks a little bit more like a fist. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. You might want to round the back. You could use, what do you call it? Cardboard? Cardboard's always on my mind, what can I say? Newspaper. You could use newspaper to maybe like add a little bit of dimension, but I kind of like how quick and immediate this is, how it just like goes right into a puppet. You know, I could see if you just use tape or maybe you had an outlet or something, you can make these in a parking lot if you need to. Okay. Actually, this thumb might not even be long enough. Maybe you change that in yours. Maybe you make a slightly longer thumb than I've made. And you'll experiment and figure out what you think looks the best and what you want to do. So now we have another fist. Like I said, you can shade it out a little bit. We still alive? How are we doing? Oh yeah, still alive. Oh, I'm so thrilled. Last week I had such a hard time. I was so excited to teach you guys about all my paper mache tricks, and we had to restart it 3 times. So I'm really happy that this one, knock on wood, seems to be working. Okay, so now we've got 2 fists. I could see like an army of these fists, right? Like just marching down the street. Wouldn't that be something amazing to see? And you know, something really fun with protest and demonstration puppetry is that you can make puppets, you can play with scale, right? You can make one that's this big, right? If you have enough cardboard, you can make one really small. And you can play with volume, right? So you can have like, because they're just made out of cardboard and hot glue, I would see you making like 50 of these and passing them out to people, even if they're just holding them up with their hand, right? Just makes it a slightly bigger hand. So, like I said, I think next, I want to fix that little finger. And then I think that what I want to do is add this to a, like a pole. I want to put it on a pole, right? So I've got my broomstick. It's pink. And I think what I'll do is take some cardboard and fit it around my pole so that I know it's a good fit. And this is a place where you can use those tabs that you might have cut off from that main sheet of cardboard. Remember we talked about cardboard having a grain? So this one I want to bend it with the grain. That way I get a nice good curve that'll fit around this snugly. Once I make a nice kind of sleeve, I can fit it directly to here. Then I'm going to glue that onto, I might tape that actually so I can get some good tension. And then I'll glue that onto my, onto the fist that I created. That way I can still use the pole after it's done, you know? Can you hear the guys in my building? I think they are, I don't know if they're doing that. You can hear them. Maybe you know. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect fit. You might have to do a couple layers. But once I have this here, then I can glue it on there. And now I have a nice stick to hold, so I can soar above the crowds of people at a protest. Also a great way to get your friends to find you. It's like, oh, I'll be the one with the giant fist, giant puppets. So while we still have some time, if you're feeling pretty good about your fists, I'm going to check the Facebook stream and see if there's any questions. No, seems like everything is good to go. Everybody's fine. Let me check. Let me see if there's any, okay. Yes, still good to go. Oh, I'm so thrilled. So I'm going to teach you one more trick to use for puppets, for protest puppets. I talked about using broomsticks, but if you just use like a giant stick from the woods, or if you use a dowel, what you could do is use from the picture hanging set. You could use a nice eye screw, or even just wire taped on there would be fine. But often you might have like a poster or even some fabric that you want to hang to loft up nice and high. I'll put that up there so you can see it. So you can loft it up nice and high. And a way that you could do that is to just grab a wire hanger. If it's nice and bendy, that's good. But now, if it has a hook, which a lot of broomsticks do, you can just hook that on there. And now, with a little bit of bending, use something where you can hang a banner, you can hang something that you want to say, maybe some text. What I've got here is a banner from a May Day parade in Pittsburgh. I think it was 2018. I'm not sure exactly who made this. I think the folks at Babyland made this. The theme was On the Wing, and there were some beautiful puppets in that. What I'm going to do, of course, what I could do would be to sew it onto here. But, you know, I'm getting ready for a protest. I'm a busy lady. So I'm just going to use some masking tape to create that right there. Okay. I'm gonna fold it right over, just like this. See my yoga mat, sorry about that. At least you know I'm trying to find some peace in these trying times. So I might tape it just like that. And now it hangs pretty nicely, I think. And now I'm ready to stick it right onto there. Oh, it's backwards. Yeah. I mean, there's a million ways you could do it, right? Like mine is backwards right now, but now it's not, right? And now you have something that you can hold aloft at a protest, at a demonstration. Maybe it even says like, happy birthday, or it's a way to celebrate something that you care about, you know? There are a lot of different situations where you might want your voice to be heard in a meaningful way, in a way that lets you say it louder than you could in a crowd with just your voice. So all of the workshops that I've done over the last few weeks have been kind of leading up to this, right? Working with cardboard, working with paper mache. But I think the important thing is to have like a clear symbol or a clear idea to be able to abstractify into a puppet, right? I had kids in middle school who just wanted to celebrate like the custodian, and so they made like a giant mop. And I had another one where kids wanted better school lunches, and they really needed better school lunches. And so they made like empty lunch trays. Like there are just so many ways that you can use puppets to make an idea, a difficult idea, a visual one. So I think that's pretty cool. Let me see, what else did I want to make sure to say? Okay. Well, I did want to say that also if you're interested in protest puppets, I'll be making them at the Power at Manchester rally, August 22nd, 23rd, I think the dates are. So maybe you'll see me there. But also, I'm sure there are folks who are doing this in your city. In Philadelphia, you have Spiral Q, you have Random Puppet, you have People's Puppets Wall Street, and those are all East Coast, you know. You have, in the Midwest, you have Hard the Beast, they do a May Day parade, and there are just so many different versions of this that are so exciting. I'm definitely not the person who invented any of these ideas, and I think there are a lot of people who know a lot more. Sarah Petey runs the Puppeteers Cooperative in Boston. They have an incredible website that has tons of guides on how to make giant puppets really quickly, really cheaply, with stuff that's available. Also, Bread and Puppet put out a zine that I think is called like Cheap and Simple Recipes for Puppet Making that you can get that also has different ideas about this. There are just so many different ways. These are just a couple ideas that I had that I thought would be useful for if you're attending a demonstration now. Also, you know, wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart from people if you can. I know it can sometimes be difficult. Oh, John Bell says, David Solnit in San Francisco also does these. I mean, just Googling a little bit of like protest puppets and stuff like that gave me so much information, and it's happening all over, especially right now. So if you want to join up with some sort of puppet crew, I hope you can find one, or you can use these techniques and start your own. I think that's about it for today. I really appreciate you being here. I would love to see pictures of these, even if you're just doing a protest or a demonstration or a rally or a parade in your own town, in your own backyard. Some of the most like exciting ones that I've been to have been ones that are just, you know, people in a small town who really need to say what they're saying. That's powerful too. Let me see. So let's get ready to say goodbye. If there are any questions, I'm going to check the comments again. Thank you so much for being part of this and being here today with me, learning about different versions of how to make protest and demonstration, march, and rally puppets. The history of them in America is pretty incredible. One I don't have time to get into, but someday we'll get into that. Call me anytime for that rant. But now I think it's time to say goodbye. So thank you all for coming. We're here every Wednesday and every Friday at 2 p.m. with live puppet making workshops. This Thursday, there's also a forum with, I believe this week is Penny Francis, which is super exciting. What a wonderful way to talk about puppetry. And we've always got stuff going on this Facebook page, so just keep checking back and be a part of it. if you're looking for summer fun time activities. So like I said, I'm Felicia Cooper. I'm a graduate assistant at the Ballard Institute and a third-year graduate student at the Puppetry Arts program at UConn. This workshop has been supported by the Connecticut Office of the Arts. I'm so thrilled that we made it to the end without having the stream interrupted, knock on wood. And since we started with a little wiggle and a goodbye and some deep breaths, let's end that same way. So wiggle, 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 wiggle. Don't forget to wiggle your knees and your feet and your ankles and your neck. Oh my gosh, don't forget ever to wiggle your neck and move your nose. Yeah. Okay, so let's take our deep breaths. Ready? In through your nose, out through your mouth. 1, out. 2, out. 3, out. Okay, have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you out making puppets. Okay, bye everybody.